All right, so welcome everybody to episode 2 of Podcasting with the Libertarian Party of India. If you haven't seen episode 1, I suggest you go back and watch that first before you come here. We are going up levels as we go on. Basics are answered first, and then the more details are being answered next. In each episode, we ask the Libertarian Party about 5 questions, and the solutions that they have to those 5 questions are going to be eye-opening nonetheless. So, again, welcome to Podcasting with the Libertarian Party of India. True freedom awaits. Let's get started. So, question number 6. Public services like education, healthcare. Right now, it works a certain way under the traditional government framework. How do you think this is going to work under the libertarian framework?
First of all, we need to be clear that there is no funding issue in education right now. It is a myth that government schools are underfunded. Government schools are pretty well funded. The problem is where the funds are being allocated. So that problem is simply impossible to solve because there are vested interests involved in your video. रुक गई है, कुछ problem आ रही
Yeah, you cut out there. Internet is broadband, huh? It's connected to the laptop.
है? Yeah, I'm using Wi-Fi right now.
Okay, let me do one thing.
Better?
Yeah, it's better. Yeah. What happened to Himanshu? Okay, let him finish that. Okay, all right. We can go ahead. So you can answer the 6th question. That it stopped again, Tushar. Himanshu, are you able to see Tushar? Is his thing working?
Yeah, I'm able to see him. Tushar, are we
Yeah.
audible? Okay.
Yes.
Sure. Okay, all right. So
So
education
let's
and
start with
healthcare
that.
without a traditional government framework.
Yeah. So first of all, funding is not an issue. Allocation is an issue, and it is a structural problem which cannot be solved. So this institution has universally failed in providing the both education and healthcare has universally failed across countries in providing services that it promises to solve. Even Canada has waiting lists like India has, and same level of negligence that Dr. showed. Same level of negligence is showed there. So it is easily provable that this model of operation simply doesn't work. The only country that seems to be successful in healthcare and education is Singapore. So again, a city state. So again, the decentralizing points come in. But anyhow, so how can it be solved in India? So basically, public-private partnership and collaboration of industries and local businesses with the educational institutions. So basically, what is the purpose of education? Literacy and education are two different things. Literacy is you are able to read something, and education is that you have acquired the skill set and related knowledge to accomplish a task, and that is what companies or individual or some business hire you for. This currently education system is designed more for producing clerks as compared to producing employees. So yeah, it whether you laugh it or not, but it is a matter of
Yeah,
fact. So
it is true.
you so what basically needs to be done is that how we will actually implement is that let's start with the belief that we aren't 100% sure what works, but we know that few things that definitely work. One thing is definitely sure, that education is aimed at employment. Who then the logical next step is who provides the employment. The answer to which is businesses and industries. So what do they want? Let's start with that. What do they want in their employees, and build a curriculum based on what they what they want. So the beauty of the market is that currently businesses have propped up that are providing the exact services that we are talking about. So what Libertarian Party, if it gets into the government, can do is either get out of the way or of the businesses who are trying to solve this problem, or facilitate them. Although facilitating them is much more difficult as compared to getting out of the way. So what we what we but we are but there are definitely regions where businesses would be slow to reach, and since we are into politics and people want immediate results, it would be natural that they would demand some solution from us. So what can we do on our end? So basically, what we can do is that do experiments in voucher system. Shift what is the quickest way to reform the current education system is you shift it to voucher system. So voucher system basically operates on the principle of consumer choice. Right now, the government pays all the salaries and for all the infrastructure, and the parents have little to no liability or say into how the governance takes place. So essentially, the customer has no say in how the product is developed or how the product is developed. we change the balance. The voucher system works in United States and has sufficient history to prove that this system works. So what basically happens is that parents are given vouchers for which the schools compete with each other and try to provide more and more services to collect greater and greater vouchers. So same thing can be done in education in India, where parents are provided vouchers which can be redeemed by schools. The teachers and the staff isn't on permanent salary, and they survive on vouchers and basically start competing for more and vouchers. This will improve the system, but one cannot say whether it will definitely improve the system, but one cannot say that it is the perfect solution. Second option is public-private partnerships. So all these NGOs are involved in getting education, but in providing education to backward areas. But the problem that they face is that the biggest restriction to their interacting with the students and parents are the schools themselves, because they have a vested interest in keeping the system as it is. So what we can do is that there might be some exceptions to the system in a particular district, that some teachers may be willing to some school heads may be willing to collaborate with the private institution. Those who collaborate and those who succeed will be glorified, and for attaining that glory, others will start competing for that as well. So here competition and mimesis comes into play. And moving this model to healthcare. So first of all, charity hospitals exist. I don't know why they are ignored. And secondly, the biggest problem with Indian healthcare is that since most of it is government funded, so there is little incentive for businesses or innovation to cheapen the cost of products, because since government has very deep pockets, they never go into the problem of how do we
Tushar,
cheapen up the tech.
Tushar, can you repeat that last line again? I think it got cut. Just now you said one line, no? Can you just repeat that again?
Yeah, I was saying that since government has very deep pockets, there is little incentive for private innovation or businesses to cheapen the cost of the equipment that is involved in the healthcare, like the machines and all. So this is the business distortion that is created by government involvement in healthcare. So what can be done is that slowly start decreasing. Something that we just need to increase the healthcare spending and this will solve the problem. No, what we need to do is that we loosen up the regulations in testing and testing of medical equipment, and loosen up regulations for hospitals to operate and micro centers to prop up that can provide cheap healthcare. So this can be done. The fundamental principle that we will be operating under is that let's see where the distortions are and how we can remove the restrictions for private action to operate in.
Right.
Yeah, this is the basic problem.
So
talking more in terms of general principles, Mises Hayek in Road to Serfdom pointed out that there are definitely areas where competition cannot solve the market competition cannot solve the problems. But Hayek was operating in an environment in the 90s where the internet didn't exist, and such a level of connectivity, globalized world connectivity didn't exist. So since technology has progressed, scale is definitely not a problem. The problem is that all the problems are in regulations and interventions, and that is what the party or a policy program is trying to do. That let's get rid of all these regulations. Giving a short story and then I'll close the answer. Those coming from other countries like Canada or USA, those who have socialized healthcare, they are amused by our private initiatives like Practo and all these healthcare startups that 1mg that do testing in your home, because they have to pay huge sums in their respective countries, and also they have no doctor's choice. They have to rely on the doctors that are already in the network. Since government is so poor, so underfunded in our country, so they never got around to solving this problem and made no regulation on it. So automatically private action came in and start solving these problems. And the most recent example is that of Blinkit providing the ambulance service. And you could see all the socialists coming out that, oh, this is government supposed to do. Government can't do anything about it, because the fundamental first lesson of economics is that resources are scarce that have alternative uses. And the first lesson that socialists learn is that ignore the lesson 1 of economics.
It is surprising, it is surprising that nothing has been done on the front of taking somebody who's sick to the hospital, like for years now.
How hard it can be to get a person? How hard can it be to get a person from point A to point B? I mean to say, We have aeroplanes. We have Elon Musk is promising that I will take you from Texas to New Zealand in 40 minutes. So and we can't
Hyperloops,
get an
right?
ambulance.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can't get an ambulance in 40 minutes. That's some real uh, technological lag that we have.
It's got a lot to do with the priorities as well. The priorities of the government doesn't seem to be saving that little guy's life who's in danger in the house, which is very strange.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
this is what socialists aim, that the poorest guy will be able to enjoy the best services, which actually never happens. The only system that delivers is a free market and private initiatives. The government is never able to do it. These politicians and bureaucrats enjoy VIP treatments, free treatments across the government network hospitals, but the underprivileged never get to enjoy those services, and they are living in the midst that these medicines that we get for free are actually free. First of all, they aren't free; they are taxpayer funded. Secondly, they are even lower in potency. I mean to say, you have to take 3 or 4 medicines of the same kind to get the same effect that an original medicine gives. So this is daylight swindling going on in the name of free healthcare, and no one is talking about it, and it just remains in private circles.
Great insights, Tushar. Thank you. Humanshu, do you have anything to add to this?
Yeah, so like you said, we have to reduce the public funding for schools and education because nowadays it has just become a signal to the market like, hey, I have this much degree, I need a job. But degree doesn't equal a job. And what happens with public funding and government is more worried about the passing rates. They're like,
Right.
hey, I need these many students to pass. So how do we pass the students? I mean, not everyone is equipped to basically rote learn and get the 90% marks. Not everyone is able to do that. So what they do is they reduce the standard of the education. Now you have a problem of distortions happening.
Yeah, this
Like,
is what the Delhi government is doing. They are distorting the numbers to show that education has improved.
yep. So to improve the
Basically, every other party seems to be talking about the same kind of solutions to the same kind of issue, right? And the Libertarian Party seems to have a completely different idea
yeah,
of this entire thing. It is so different that I think even the existing politicians will be like scratching their head and wondering what's going on.
Yeah, see, we are the ultimate outsiders, and our fight is against the political caste, because either it's socialism or any other system. What basically ends up happening is political caste trying to protect its interests, and we are saying that the fight is between the free market and the political caste, and the free market is bound to win.
yes.
What we are basically, the Libertarian Party is doing is becoming the voice of the free market, and which is the ultimate voice of the people. So
That is what the people want.
this is our foundational framework. That's why we have very novel solutions, and those who have vested interest in keeping the status quo going, they are uh, astounded that what they are talking about. Their first response is that how is this possible, and why is no one else doing it?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of second and third order of effects of this public spending as well, which basically is you are wasting a lot of years in your education, then going for degree maxing, doing your BA, MA, or all those things, and basically tanking the TFR of our country as well, apart from being jobless. So, I mean, these are all the issues. Ideally, I mean, after 8th standard or once you are 14, many of the things I don't think you need a specialization or a degree to actually get
Yeah.
a job. I mean, you
I
can
feel
directly
you
go.
just need to know your constitutional rights first, and then everything else will follow. You don't even need to know math, is what I feel. But okay, let's move on to the seventh question of episode 2. So this is regarding international relations and national defense. So, how is a country like this, with the libertarian scheme of things, how are we going to organize our forces for national defense, and how are we going to manage our relationships with other countries? Like, what are other countries to us? Are they our friends? Who are they? And how are we going to manage these complex relationships with other countries?
See, these problems aren't. These are questions of real politics, and we have to first emphasize real politics, then introduce libertarianism into it. And same Millay is showing it. So, but there is definitely scope for libertarianism in this as well. What the promise of the central government would eventually be is that we would take care of coordination, protection, and basically what the Swiss government is basically trying to do.
Right.
To keep the cantons united and provide them protection and take care of the coordination and basic infrastructure of all. So this is what eventual evolution will be. And in terms of foreign policy, I think our foreign policy is all right, and we don't need to change the status quo that much in the short term. And since it is a very sensitive issue and different voices get involved, let's focus on local policy more and promote libertarianism as the way to for the nation to get stronger as a unit.
Right. Right. How about
And definitely remove restrictions on defense innovation and yeah, defense innovation. Yeah.
right? So that brings me to my eighth question. Like, how about environmental protection and consumer safety? What are the typical views of the party on this? Does it change anything by the libertarian concept, or is it actually going to be remaining very similar to what we are doing right now? Like recently, Hasdeo Forest and a lot of deforestation is happening, and a lot of things are happening. So, is it all going to be left to that community there? How does this whole thing operate?
See, the problems are legit to a certain extent, and let's not go into the environmental activists talk. But the problem in itself that we need a sustainable environment is legit. We need clean food, water, and energy. Clean food, water, and air. These are legit problems. But where we disagree is what mechanism needs to be followed to ensure that we can achieve these objectives. So, talking about the environment, the best way to protect the environment is to reduce public spaces as much as possible. Yeah, since if you own a particular piece of land, you will try your best to preserve it for as long as possible. But if you don't have any ownership of it, you will let it rot. And since it's no one's responsibility, and the government will never get rich enough to spend on these issues. So these will always be left to rot. What we can do is that we can try novel public-private partnership systems where some organization gets the credit for managing this particular patch of land or something like that. But definitely, the private action needs to be ensured rather than this British era forest services nonsense. I don't know how it still exists.
Yeah,
So
someone from outside is never really going to care about that local piece of forest or land, right? They're never
it is
going to have that
it is
feeling or
just a
that emotion towards it.
it is 80% of bribery racket, daylight bribery racket going on. They just auction off land and other things, and all these underhand stuff go on, and they're just basically people are being looted. And the new solution is some new politician will try to get the bureaucrats to act well, which 75 years of history has sufficiently proven that it is never going to happen. So that is the lost cause. Best is that you introduce the element of private action and responsibility. Although still there would be no uniform answer, that the policy may vary in Chandigarh and may vary in Chhattisgarh due to each depending on what a specific region's people agree on, that this is how we want to operate the resources and this is what we want to do. But definitely from top down solution we need to get to the bottom up solution.
So brings me to my ninth question. How about intellectual property rights? Like, what is a libertarian party's position on IP right now? How would that be integrated into the system?
See, there are two aspects to it. First one is whether you want to get the credit or you want to get the what are the two? What is the logic behind getting intellectual property? First one is money, and second one is credit.
Okay.
Money, libertarianism, most are pretty agree that intellectual property is a limit to innovation and it should be scrapped away completely. But it cannot be ignored that getting appreciated and getting credit for something is definitely an incentive that people works towards. So, what balance can be struck to ensure that innovation isn't inhibited or new research isn't inhibited, while at the same time the person who actually does it gets his due. So, and I think a blockchain can solve this problem of getting credit. And most of the internet seems to be very pro against intellectual property rights, and all the corporations try to be very corporate because this creates an edge. But in the long term, it just creates a mess for both. those who have good understanding of business come to realize that the real moat that exists is not in the final product, but in the processes that create the product. So uh,
Right.
we
Are
should
there
get
any
scrap.
examples of people who have foregone or companies who have foregone this? I know certain companies, they have, like, I think
The
Tesla is one of those
yeah, the
companies who didn't.
Tesla is the biggest one.
Yeah, like
Right.
Elon Musk says, IP is for pussies. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think yeah, because the biggest interested party in intellectual property are the businesses, but they
Right.
are also the biggest. They face the biggest consequences because of IP. So
I mean,
this law is just
it never affected Tesla's business, right? Just because he didn't get an IP for
yeah,
the EV, at least, it never
yeah.
really did.
There are there was one John Oliver segment on intellectual property rights or patent. It was specifically on patents. So there are specific courts in the USA where the judges give some curious judgments on these patent rights. And what ends up happening is that companies try to buy favors from judges by building. There was one story where they in heart of the Texas, in the heart of deserted Texas, they built a skating rink, ice skating
Ice
rink.
skating.
Samsung built an ice skating rink to please the local community so that the judges would get pleased or something like that. Some nonsense. So everyone is troubled by the system. My theory is that this system arose out of this arose. This was a system. This was a simple problem that how do we keep track of all the innovations that are going on? This is how the system started. They didn't intend that it would eventually their patent trolls will come in. Companies will start fighting. It was a simplistic solution that existed because one of the major functions that of the government has been in entire history has been record keeping. And with the modern evolution of blockchain and cryptography, that feature of the government can be taken away and privatized. This industry can definitely solve the IP problem. And
That was eye-opening. All right, so that brings us to the 10th question, the last question for episode number 2. So, what exactly is the role of a government now? Like, it looks like we don't need a government at all. So, what is the role of a government in a libertarian society? Like, where does the government fit in?
principally, the government exists. Putting in the most simplistic terms, it is the referee in the free market that match that we all are playing. It has the role of the referee. Now, some libertarians that agree that think that referee needs to be elected by an elections. The referee position needs to be competed for by different corporations or different institutions. The role of the government, what the institution called the government, is acting as a referee. This is where what the libertarian conception of the government is. None of these that it is basically trying to emulate God or something like that. That isn't the scope of the government. So the government is just acting as a referee and solving disputes and providing coordination.
Wow. All right, so that brings us to the close of episode 2. Thank you, Tushar and Himanshu, for sharing a lot of thoughts on this. This has been another googly this episode. There are a lot of things that people will be like, what? Are these things even possible? And I can see from both your confidence that it is totally possible. Even I'm a believer, after all of this. So,
Yeah, I would like to say one thing that these are the easier issues. I'm going to say that the real problems exist
right,
in the business sector. These are
right,
simplistic issues what the government is trying to do, and 75 or 200 whatever history of the government is haven't
right.
been able to deliver on it. Libertarian, the objective of the starting was party of the party was that let's right now right now the best talent in the country either goes into bureaucracy or someone who is more entrepreneurial goes into politics or something. Then comes those who actually engage in entrepreneurship, but that is a really recent phenomenon. But earlier, all the cream of the talent used to go into politics and bureaucracy. So what we are trying to do is that let's tip the scales in the favor of entrepreneurship, who actually tackle real problems, and let these puny politicians and power grabbers, let's cut the scope of their power and focus on real hard issues that actually change the world.
Right.
So this is what we are trying to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that is the thing. That's the goal, to be free and do your best and change the world. That's the whole concept of it. Love it. And to all the viewers out there, thank you for watching episode 2. If you haven't watched episode 1, please do watch episode 1 before you head out to episode 3, which is coming up next. 5 more questions to the Libertarian Party of India is going to blow your mind. So don't forget to like, subscribe. Please follow us. We don't bite. We are just chill people. We always talk like this. So please follow us on X as well at Liberty Party on X. Do follow us. We have a community of people who are always there talking on our channels, and on Instagram as well. Do subscribe to us on Instagram, because you can receive updates on our next episodes. And we are going to keep doing this until people understand what true freedom is. So true freedom awaits for you at the Libertarian Party of India. Good night.
Thank you.